16 teams, they were in action on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, always an important date on the league calendar and beyond. Memphis, the home of the National Civil Rights Museum, took center stage on the afternoon slate. Two of the brightest young stars in the NBA squaring off. You see Ja Morant right there taking on Anthony Edwards and Minnesota. Now, this one started off pretty well for Minnesota.
It did, and there was total heat checks. Are you not entertained? You have to do something else. This play right here is floppy. That means 2 perimeter screens to free up a shooter. You needed 3 guys to run at him, probably the whole squad. That's how good he was shooting in the first half.
Today, Anthony Edwards had 22 points on 5 of 9 shooting here in the first half. It's the fourth quarter, though, where things started to go a little bit sideways here for Minnesota. Here comes Memphis. 6 minutes left, down 7. Ja Morant, a high arc floater plus the foul.
Anytime he starts playing with you between the leg, getting into his bag, getting into his tempo, behind the back, like you know something is coming.
Tough turnaround jumper there. The lead down to 3 now. 3.5 to play, all tied up at 100. Desmond Bane here.
Floater.
Finishes inside.
Okay.
He is loving it too. Fired up. The Grizzlies up by 2. Under 2 to play now. Memphis up by 3. Watch Jared Jackson Jr. here.
Just a beautiful post move.
Growth in his game this year.
Physicality and just balance on offense.
Nasri, they needed a big game from him. Here he is with the tough slam on the inside. The Wolves back within 3. So final chance here for Minnesota. Down 2, 5 seconds left. Edwards here gets the inbound, dribbles up, tries to take the step back 3. But it is off. The Grizzlies come back to win this one 108-106. Here's Anthony Edwards on that last play after the game.
I guess I got the ball. I got it, looked up at the clock, like, okay, 4 seconds. I knew they weren't going to let me go left. And then when I tried to go right, JJ stepped up, so I was like, I'm just going to shoot a step back. And it didn't go how I wanted it to go.
So, Shams, Mark, you remember earlier this month when Anthony Edwards said that he doesn't always want to be passing the ball when he was asked about double teams? That's what I was thinking about when he was talking about that final attempt last night today. What did you see on that shot?
Look, everyone, let the record reflect that Anthony Edwards leads the entire NBA in made threes, 182 made threes. But there was another read available that might have been easier for them to secure this game and try to push this towards a win. Watch this as I break it down. This is the final possession, right? First and foremost, let's look at the score, right? Down 2, 5 seconds left.
Scribble that again.
You run and you start with the ball right here. I'm not mad at this with Ant, as you see him right here, because he has 5 seconds. He can get downhill. He's so good at that. And what do I mean by downhill? He can just blow by people and get an easy 2. Instead, look at the defense. I mean, this is a coach's dream with how everyone is loaded up, eyes on the basketball. So he starts moving, and this is where things get shaky, right? Watch Jaren Jackson Jr., 2 Grizzlies defenders are basically, this is a guy that's double teamed the most in the NBA, are ready to double Ant. Who does that leave wide open as the play progresses? We've got 2 players. This is crazy. I'm going to put my magnifying glass on here. 2 players, one right here and one right here, that are wide open. So if you don't settle for that 3, you've got good options here. Instead, look at the contest. That's really tough to really just think about. That contest, it's a very difficult shot to make. And then even the worst thing is, I mean, maybe you have rebounding possession, but the shot was too late for you to secure a rebound. Julius Randle wide open and just watching their fate go down with another loss. So I'm not faulting Anthony Edwards much. I'm not, because he shoots and makes a lot of threes, but he was so one-track minded that I think he lost the opportunity to see his other guys for an easier shot.
And historically, he does struggle on these types of shots. As you can see here, he has yet to make one, Shams.
And Chiney and Malika, a player that would be there at the end of that game is someone like Donte DiVincenzo, a shooter that could help Anthony Edwards. That's why they went out and got him. He was a prize acquisition in that deal to get Karl-Anthony Towns to New York. You're bringing Julius Randle, but he's going to be out an extended period of time now with a left big toe injury. I'm told this could be several weeks or it could be months for Donte DiVincenzo out of that lineup. He was averaging 18 points, 5 assists, 42% three-point shooting in 6 starts. before suffering this injury. And last season, the Knicks really took off in the playoffs when they moved him into the starting lineup, just like what happened to Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, he'd started the last 6 games, as you mentioned, before missing the last 3. He had that season-high 28 against the Warriors. If he's out a couple of weeks, it feels like this might have been a microcosm a little bit of their season so far.
Yeah.
They'll win 3-4 in a row. You feel pretty good about them. They're able to get a win over the Knicks, and then they have a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, Ant-Man got the ball in Knoxville, right? And then by the time he got to half court, those 2 precious seconds were gone where he could have thrown the ball and got it to Julius under the basket. And I think he has to realize, I think the Timberwolves play their best basketball when he's averaging about, or not averaging, dishing about 7 or 8 assists. That's when other guys are getting involved. Defenses are less on him. And I think in order for the Timberwolves to be a better basketball team, they're going to need, as great as Anthony is as a scorer, need him to be more of a facilitator.
Yeah, let's give credit where credit is due, though. The Grizzlies, they were able to claw their way back into this one after being down by double digits. And Jaren Jackson Jr., he was on the show last week. And I said to him, is it crazy that this team, it reminds me a little bit of the team a couple of years ago when they were second in the West, except there's less noise. People aren't talking about this team as much. And I don't know if that's maturity. He said he thought maybe it was vet swag, but he said that a championship,
less drama.
That's successful, right? Maybe it's the less drama. Do you get that same feeling, Marc, about this team? Could they be champion contenders?
I do think so. I talked to him 2 weeks ago after a game at Golden State, and I asked him what's the key. He said camaraderie, preparation, communication. But I think he's the key. He's averaging 22 points, 6 rebounds. This month he's been amazing, averaging 24 points and 7 rebounds. Great January, obviously a former Defensive Player of the Year. And through all, respectfully, Ja's issues that have taken place, he's a guy that's really kept this team together without much fanfare. And I do think us as NBA media people need to give him more respect. He's a fantastic player.
The Grizz, they're growing up. Look at these numbers right here in these teams. Only 5 teams are top 5 or in top 10 in both offense and defense. Cavs, Thunder, Celtics, Rockets, and Grizzlies. Rockets and Grizzlies, a little bit more surprised when it comes to the West, and also just being able to see how they've grown and matured. And like you said, this is a team that was really known for celebrating and doing the most. Now it seems like they've matured not only in their personality, but also in their game. They lead the NBA in 123 points per game offensively. They're also top 10, I believe it was 6 in defense. Great balance, and that's exactly what you're looking
I do miss the fun Malika was having with them.
We did the post-game interviews. I think all of that will come.
It's moved to Oklahoma City.
They stole that from them, right? They stole it.
What really caught my eye was after the game when Ja Morant said that Jaren Jackson Jr. is our franchise. This is the guy. He's our all-star. And when you think about all-NBA, he's a guy that deserves all-NBA. That's when your home court advantage team, one of those guys gets all-NBA. It's not going to be Ja Morant. He's ineligible.
Yeah.
It's got to be Jaren Jackson Jr.
Plenty of NBA action this weekend, so let's buckle up, go coast to coast. On Sunday is where we start. The Lakers took their first trip down the I-05 to Intuit Dome as the Clippers hosted their first Battle of LA. Clips won this one, 116-102 behind Kawhi's 19. Harden had 21 and 12. Here's LeBron James after another disappointing loss.
Nah, that's our team is constructed. We don't have room for much error. We have to play close to perfect basketball. We know the game is never perfect. It's never going to be a 48-minute perfect basketball game, but, we can't combat it on multiple possessions in a row, or, if we turn the ball over, we have to do a better job with that.
No room for error. Chiney, what does that make you think, LeBron's comments about his outlook of the season?
He's right on point. 3 ways that they can win. 1, a 40-year-old giving you a triple-double. 2, your MVP candidate doing it on both ends. Or 3, playing a perfect game. They're 11-1 versus teams below 500, which means they can beat the bad, but you got to beat the good. But don't panic. They're still number 6 in the West, so they're sitting in the playoffs. As long as they don't see the Nuggets in the future, they should be okay.
Don't see the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Now Lakers fans are having some flashbacks. Let's go from LeBron's current team to his former. The Cavaliers, they had no trouble against the Suns. They led by as many as 32. They ended up with a 26-point win. Shams, which team will be more active at the trade deadline, Cavs or Suns?
Malika, the Cavs are sitting pretty. The Suns wish they could get to that point, and that's why the Suns are going to be the team to really look out for between now and the NBA trade deadline. That front office is going to have to get creative, and I'm sure they will, to be able to maneuver and get some deals done before the trade deadline.
Okay, we'll be keeping an eye on that in our 4-hour trade deadline special. Moving on to Houston. That's where Cade Cunningham, he took flight. 32 points in the Pistons win over the Rockets. His teammates even advocating for an all-star bid. Mark, do you think he makes it?
He's in San Francisco. Can we start talking about this kid for like MVP consideration?
Whoa.
This is look at the record.
Bend to that corner.
Look at
bending that
I
corner.
bend it like whoa, whatever they say. What he's done with this team, come on, man. Let's motorcade. Nah, I'm not saying he's going to win it, but put him in consideration. Incredible season.
I do think All-Star Reserve is not
right?
at it. Yeah, whoa. All right, this weekend, Jimmy Butler made his return after a 7-game suspension. He did wear Jordan's number 45 jersey heading into this one on Friday night. This was after his agent put out that press release a la David Falk saying, I'm back. On Friday, the Heat lost by 20 to the Nuggets. Butler had 18 in the contest, but on Sunday, when they beat the Spurs, Jimmy had 8. So, Shams, you've been covering every twist and turn of this story over the last couple of months. There is still a trade hope, right? That's where we stand now, that Jimmy Butler hopes to leave Miami. But is there a trade on the table?
Here's where it's at. Jimmy Butler has tripled down on his trade request. Earlier this month, he did it to Pat Riley's face, and then last week, he did it to Mickey Arison, the team owner, and the CEO, Nick Arison. And I'm told the Heat have had some productive conversations on a potential Butler trade this week. But this is a big number to move, $49 million on his contract this year, $52 million player option for the offseason. So whatever deal ends up happening, is it going to be just a 2-team trade, 3-team trade, 4-team trade? Really, everything is a possibility. But in the meantime, Jimmy Butler is clocking in. He's playing basketball. The easiest way to put this is everyone in that building knows exactly what's up.
Everyone in the building knows exactly what's up. And Jimmy's back on the floor, which I imagine he's got to continue to, as you said, be professional, play, right, in order for his trade value to go up. Heat fans don't want to talk about this. Heat fans want to talk about Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware and how they look on the floor. But I'm going to ask you, Chiney, your impression seeing Jimmy back on the court with those two.
Have to be a professional.
Right.
Have to be a professional. One thing that I do like, their last game, I think everyone's getting the notice. Hey, minutes are up for grab. They had 73 bench points coming off of this last win. But you said something, Shams, that piqued my attention. You said it's a big number to move. $595,000. That's how much he gets paid per game. So, yeah, if you sit at that corner, he's like, I'm serving that corner back to the court. If you do sort of try to make trouble and you have to sit out, you're missing out on big money. And I think that's why he has to be a professional. And his teammates are still good enough to carry them through. Even though they may not win as many games if he was in peak form, they're still winning some. And I think you're starting to see the pieces of the future. We had a really cool graphic. I'm not sure if our producer, our researcher, J-Joe, had it, but it showed the January of these Heat players. And it just is really good because they're finding different players to step up. Tyler Hero leading in points per game. Bam Adebayo leading in rebounds per game, assists per game. Look at this right here. They are spreading the wealth. We see you working, J-Joe, and our producers. Thank you, Andy. But look at this. Everything highlighted in red is the leader in that category, especially looking at January. They have turned the corner. You can see it right here.
You know, and I'm going to even go forward. He's getting moved, but because I trust you. If you're saying that there's a bunch of things, something's going to happen. I'm really curious to who that guy is going to be and how he fits in. And you got these young players that are pretty exciting and got some good years ahead of them. But, like, who's the guy?
Well, and how can, after you start a season this way, right, how can you refocus whenever that happens and move past this? If there's any culture that can absorb it,
should be this one.
Ding, ding, ding. It should be the Miami Heat.
Players are coming back with that money.
Right. So that's going to be
a lot of them.
That's what I'm saying.